I am going to now do a kiln unloading. It's not that many pieces in here, so it shouldn't take more than a few minutes, but I've got some glazes that I did a very slow cool on at 100 degrees an hour from 2232 down to 1750, and then soaked for half an hour. But anyway, this is variegated blue, and it gets much more opaque when you do the slow cool, and it breaks to the edges. You can see where it breaks away, and that's actually kind of nice. That's one of the plates I did for the sake sets, where there'll be 4 tea bowls plus the little pitcher on those. Here's one of my regular chip and dips. So these are actually bright blue, oatmeal, and dark blue over the bright blue. And this is over that red clay that I use. It's a stoneware red. So the bright blue goes a sort of a greeny color, sort of a turquoisey green, but dark. This is why I do a slow cool sometimes. This is Tenmaku Gold. When you do a slow cool, it really goes matte and gold and all that. So it's got my oatmeal over it there as well. And I did a little blue over the Tenmaku Gold, and you can't even see it. So basically, but that's what happens if you do a slow cool. You've seen my other glazes that have the Tenmaku Gold on, and this is over the white clay and all that. So but that's why you do slow cools, because you lose that gloss. This one ran, that's interesting, right where the handle is. They always run, see that right where the handle is? And I can grind that off, it'll be fine. But that's the turquoise. But look at the way the turquoise lines hold up there. But this is 2232 with, this is blue, green, copper, red on very thick. I held it in there for about 10 seconds. So I can grind that little piece off of. And it lifts right off the kiln shell. Now the slow cool makes the mouse gray, and it's not even as matte as I was hoping, but it's definitely got a little bit more matte. But look at my oatmeal over the top. It's like a beer that just frothed right the way down the mug. Oh, this one actually did it as well. It ran down, but there's the tiger stripes and all that I was going for. But these were glazed very thick. So I actually left the clay bare on the bottom, because I knew that one ran all the way down. So this oatmeal was only about halfway down, and it ran all the way down. Oh, that's another one of those tea bowls. I've shown you those before. This is my yellow oatmeal just on its own. I don't use it on its own very much. It's kind of a really nice yellow. It broke away from the rim there nicely as well. And then with the turquoise on the inside, I wanted to just do one with that yellow and the turquoise to see what it looked like. Another one of the mouse green ones that ran. This, I'm going to be careful to even, the oatmeal just runs all the way down over it, but it's nice the way it works. You can grind off anything if you actually have some on the shelf. Let's move these. This is a baking dish. Mouse gray with my oatmeals over the top. I use an oatmeal with a couple of yellow stains. I have a regular oatmeal and I have a couple of yellow stains. One is C1118 from Ferro Thrift Corporation, and the other one is Sunshine Yellow from Mason Stain. That's the bright blue over white clay. And that's the difference. In the other piece, it was much darker. This is another one of those trays for the sake sets. there's another tray for the sake sets as well. This is the Tenmaku Gold, and it ran down, but it didn't go quite as matte. On the flat piece it went a lot matter. So, but because I do my oatmeal over the top, it runs into the Tenmaku Gold. Maybe that made an effect, but it's still got the gold flecks in it. Here's another turquoise. This one didn't run as much, but it still runs a lot. It looks like molten lava. But I love the fluting, really shows up well, and then the oatmeal over the top. Oh, I didn't show you the inside of this one. Because of the turquoise, I did a darker blue inside. Yeah, the oatmeal did well on these, but you can see the double run with the blue on the inside again. Another turquoise, Tenmaku Gold. Always notice where the handle is, you get that little extra run down the handle, because it comes all the way down the handle and builds up there. So that's a good place to take care maybe when you're glazing. Especially, we're right at the peak of this glaze. This is 2232 for an hour soak and all that. So, no, was this one an hour? No, the other one was the hour soak. This one was just half an hour soak. Look at the run right where the handle is. And it lifted right off the kiln shelf, obviously. And these have the dark blue center as well. And dark blue on the rim by the look of it on this side. The oatmeal shows up a bit more on this one. The timing with the soak is good. I usually only soak for 11 minutes. So I've been increasing the soak time to see what would happen. And I think I get a better, there's the handle run again. Just have to grind that one down a bit and all that. But I think I prefer the shorter soak time for the oatmeal over the Tenmaku. Okay, this is an experiment. Okay, I did this as a commission. There's some more on the back of the kiln behind me. This lady wanted me to do a painting of lavender with underglazes, and the glaze has actually run down a little bit on the underglaze. That's unusual because underglaze usually holds up quite well on the bisque, but it's kind of nice. So I don't know whether she'll like it or not, but it didn't hold true as far as the actual painting, so I'll have to figure out what happened there with the underglaze. But the glaze is a clear glaze, it's very smooth, very nice. But I suspect maybe the glaze was a little thick. So if I glazed thinner, maybe that wouldn't run as much. And there's another one of that yellow that I did with the blue on the inside. This is my yellow oatmeal. It's a stronger yellow. The other one, this is the sunshine yellow. I just wanted to try some natural over the clay. But it really warms up the other yellow, which is a bit more sand color. Okay, this one is my regular green, which went different than it normally does. But then there's a little crawling there too. And then I had my yellow oatmeal and my seafoam or the turquoise matte. I'm not sure which one that is that I put over the top. But that's kind of nice as well as a green. Same again. My apple green is the one underneath, which is my regular base green. And that changed a little bit in this firing with the slow cool. I got 3 tea balls, one in the yellow again. And then 2 with my apple green. And then the seafoam or the turquoise matte with oatmeal over the top of that. So that ran really nicely too. The running is doing really well, but on the Tenmaku Gold it sort of blended more this time than I kind of wanted. I have a very important video right now. It is very valuable information. The Randy's Red tests are complete, and I have a firing schedule and advice on how to get the great reds. Whether they're the best reds, I don't know. Other people can take this further, but I have the firing schedule. So let me show you that first, in case you want to screenshot this. That's the firing schedule that I have actually got the reds that you're going to see next. So basically, I unpacked a kiln this morning, which is at the beginning of this video, and here is one of the pieces from that kiln firing I did this morning. It actually did not have an hour soak at the end of the firing at 1750. It just cooled naturally, basically. And let me show you one of these pieces, but then you can show you the difference. This is that turquoise glaze seafoam in that kiln, and this is the same pot with the slow cool. This is a 1 hour soak right at 2232, and then a 1 hour soak at 1750. And this one did not have the 1 hour soak at 1750. So you can see it's still nice, but look at this one, same glaze. All right, so you get some really different effects with the actual cooling profile. Now here is another one. This is Randy's Red. It was fired in a different kiln, and this was done without the cool soak at 1750. So at each temperature it soaked for an hour, and then it actually was allowed to cool naturally. So there you go, no soak at 1750. You've got some red on there, but basically it still maintains that sort of browny, sort of bluish hint. But where it was really thick, you did manage to get some reds under the handle. That's where the glaze gets thicker as it dribbles down from the handle. So this basically means, when I show you this one, this had a soak at 1750 for 1 hour on the way down, but also a 1 hour soak at top temperature of 2232. So this type of glaze is going to cost more to produce because it actually needs the extra energy to get that iron to crystallize out and give you that really pretty red color. So I hope you can see that. I'll look myself when I see it on the computer. And it breaks to black, which is really nice. And then on the top there, it actually still maintained that sort of bluish brown, which is kind of nice that it actually does break like that on the edges. And so that is going to become a glaze that, there you go. Alrighty, so really nice red. There we go. Alright, so this was a refire from one of the pieces that turned out very brown in the test kiln firings. I decided to throw one in this firing, and you can see where I dipped the layers. So it's single layer, well, it was held in longer in the glaze, and then there. So that was one of those tests, but now I've refired it under this profile. You didn't get the reds, but you got a really nice textural effect. So that means all those balls I've been testing, I've got about 20 of them, can be refired and we'll get a really nice piece out of them. So here's more of those soup balls with that seafoam glaze that really did stay seafoam this way. So another seafoam piece with the oatmeal on the inside. This kiln's still a little bit warm. Oh, 90 degrees. Not too bad. Okay, wow. Look at that. This is in the middle of the kiln, so really got the red. Less breaking, but still some black showing through. But all this time I've been trying to get this red. We couldn't figure out what it was taking, but process of elimination and an experiment, it is working really well. This is on a dark brown clay as well, which is rich in iron. So I'm going to try this profile with white clay. But basically, you've got the red. And it's consistent, because there's another one. This one was on thick. Now, here's the catch for everybody who takes this test and tries it for themselves, is my glaze is really thick. All right, so it's the thickest glaze bucket consistency wise I've got. You can use a hydrometer, which is in Earth Nation Ceramics did some tests on it, and basically said it was about 1.4 in the hydrometer. But that all depends on how thick you throw your pots as well. I'm a very thin thrower, so my clay gets saturated really quick. So if I end up double dipping my glazes, so all of these have been dipped twice in the bucket. And I dipped it from the top down, and then afterwards, the next day, I dipped them from the bottom, and that way I got a double layer in the center, and on the bottom, you can see it's a little brown on the bottom down there, because that's single layer. And on the top, it was probably single layer too, because I had to hold it by the top as I went in. But where it's double dipped, which means it's thicker, you get the red. So your throwing will depend on how red you get. If you're a thick thrower, then you'll probably only have to single dip these. But I think everybody's different, of course. So, and there's another refire. This was one that was brown in the test kiln, but in this firing, it was just really brown. I mean, this firing, it's broken really well with the black showing through and also the red showing through where it was a bit thicker. And on the inside, yeah, it's red on the inside. It's hard to see, but they always seem to be red on the inside. And this one is one of the test pieces. It's still a bit warm on the bottom. I dipped my bright blue, which some people call floating blue, over the rim to actually contrast the brown, but isn't that nice? And it's really consistent red. And I love the fluting. There's so many ways you can flute pieces. And that has that's just the Randy's red. On the top it broke and turned that bluish color where it gets thin. But remember, I dipped this way down for about 5 seconds, lifted it out. Next day, I dipped them that way down for 5 seconds. And so it's really thick on the center. And that's why you've got to be careful a little bit of the bottom edge there. I made sure it was only a single layer of glaze, so it doesn't run down onto the kiln shelf. And this is that iron clay again. It's clay body wise, if you're in the States, it's Laguna Clay Company number 80 that I'm, ooh, look at that. Laguna Clay number 80. Now this one didn't break because it was double all the way down. So you're going to see a little hint of the black showing through on the fluting, but basically it's really red. And then on the inside, I glazed the blue, floating blue, or I call it bright blue, but over the brown clay, it always goes dark because it's a semi-transparent glaze. All right, another one. I usually do sets of 4, I've mentioned that before. Are we happy? whole thing is over. It's taken me all the month of January to get this. But I've always wanted to get a rich iron red glaze rather than the browns that we can get seem like pretty easily. I mean, there's waxing brown, which has a little breaking. There's Randy's red, which not Randy's red, ketchup red, which works pretty good. I'm going to try ketchup red like this too. So yeah, deeper down, it's still a little warm. It's more of the same bowls. Oh, that one's a bit too hot. Let me just grab a tissue I can handle it with. But they're all the same pieces. It says it's only 90 degrees. No, it's 109. Sorry, that's why. 109 gets a bit warm, I guess. But, alright, so that's Fahrenheit, not centigrade. But the pyrometer's in the top of this kiln rather than at the bottom where these were. But that's really sweet. Here we go. Now, I've mentioned before my crazy kind of experiment here is brown has never been a popular color for me. We're on the ocean and blues are what most people want to buy. Which is why I was adding a little blue on this one at the top, just to give some blue in there. And that one worked pretty good. It ran down nicely. And you got the black showing through too. These are really nice mugs. Oh, here's the brown. I brought one of these over to show you. This is from the test kiln last week or the week before, where it just came out brown. And you know, so I'm going to refire this piece too. So and there's more of these bowls. I have a whole bunch of these bowls. I decided to try and fill the whole kiln load, and you can fill it quickly with bowls. So well, there we go. Yep, just more bowls in there. So okay, so right at the beginning, there's the firing profile. All right, using a rich iron clay body, number 80 from Laguna in this case. Speckle clay seems to work pretty good too. That was 455 in Toronto, but they have one in Pittsburgh that's a speckle stoneware as well. And glazed, double glazed if you're a thin thrower, and maybe single glazed if you're throwing your pieces quite thick and heavy. And I think I've heard from that Earth Nation Ceramics that he uses a hygrometer and it's 1.4 on there, but it's very thick glaze. All right, so I saturate my piece by dipping it just for 5 seconds because my pieces are so thin. That's why I double dip. The following day I'll give it another dip. So this is the end of the final Randy's Red test. So I hope you guys can benefit from it, and we'll see lots of beautiful red pots on Cone 6 pots. You can type that in the internet and post your pictures on Cone 6 pots or on YouTube, whichever. Anyway, thank you very much. All right.